For 2024, Ford has brought us the S650 Mustang, or the 7th generation in the Mustang lineup. Now, for 2024, they have changed the exterior design, interior design, as well as updated the Coyote motor, giving us the 4th gen Coyote. And this one is also paired to the MT82 transmission, option of 2 transmissions. We'll touch on that here in a second. But this vehicle has a lot of options that you can choose from when equipping the vehicle online. We're gonna go over some of those options that are on this vehicle. As you can see, this is also the convertible, the soft top convertible, so that adds a price. And we're gonna see where this stacks up against the competition and see what this vehicle has to offer, giving it a sticker price, optioned, delivered, over $62,000. In the front of the Mustang, you can see that their main goal was to make this look a lot more aggressive than previous generations. Starting up here on the hood, we have lots of angles going up to the heat extractor, nice seam going down the middle of the hood, as well as that hood coming down quite a bit lower than the S550, giving it a slimmer and more sleek looking lower brow section on the hood. Now up on the hood, we have this gloss black kind of CT5 Blackwing or CTSV looking heat extractor, extracting that heat from this 5-liter because you know that many ponies under the hood, you are going to create quite a bit of heat. So we have to get that heat out of here so we can keep that engine cool. So nice gloss black heat extractor that does pass through into the engine bay, getting that heat out of here. Moving down below that, we have a nice angular design, continuing with those side grills on each side, the driver and passenger side, being functional pass-throughs going to a heat exchanger, because this 5-liter, like I said, produces a lot of heat. We have to get that heat out of here somewhere. Functional vents there. In the middle, we also have functional pass-throughs to get to that radiator, to get that heat out of this motor. On the very bottom of the front bumper, we have this textured plastic lower lip that has a bump out here on the driver's side and passenger side, and in the middle keeps it fairly simple and doesn't bump out too far, because you are going to scrape it on some higher curbs or some entries into a McDonald's parking lot maybe. The redesign continues in the rear of this S650 Mustang, especially when you are looking at the taillights and this upper trunk portion. Now, not only the taillight is split in half and kind of pinched over on itself, it continues all the way across the trunk lid and over to the next taillight. So it kind of gives a nice aerodynamic feel coming down. If this was a fastback, it'd have a lot more of a swooping, sleek look, but with this being a soft top convertible, it kind of chops it up just a little bit. But it gives a very aerodynamic look and overall just a very unique and new look to the muscle car segment. So it's kind of a nice redesign by Ford in that portion. Is just kind of cutting it right in the middle, kind of folding over the upper trunk lid portion over itself. And overall kind of a different design, but it is nice that they are making progress in the design aspect of these muscle cars, kind of making them more sleek and a little bit more updated than previous. Now this does have the GT performance package selected, so if this was a fastback, you'd see a nice high-rise wing right here. Since this is a convertible, that is not an option. That gets deleted if you go the convertible route. But you do have your nice GT performance badge right here in the middle of the trunk, as well as your camera right above it. Moving down, we have a lower trunk line, as well as your trunk opening underneath there, opening that up. Down below, we keep this angular design going with this lower plastic portion bit on the rear bumper, giving it kind of a nice angle all around. We have our reverse light here in the middle, as well as our 2 exhaust pipes on the driver's side, as well as our other 2 on the passenger side, our quad exhaust. This is the active exhaust, so that is another option that you can get on this Mustang, as well as that GT performance package. On the rear quarter panels of the Mustang, you have this almost shelf-like design, nice right angle going out, giving this a wide hip, kind of more aggressive look. This is a GT performance and you want it to look performance, look really aggressive on the road, and that's what Ford did with this rear quarter panel design. Real wide hips going down, right angle going down, covering up those 275 Pirelli P0s. So a nice aggressive stance from the rear as well as from the front. You can almost see those hips sticking out. Now moving in from the rear quarter panel into the convertible area, we have a soft top as well as a glass rear window that is heated, and that just folds away with the rest of the soft top when you want the top down. Under the hood of the Mustang GT, we have the 4th generation of this 5-liter Coyote motor. So this engine produces 480 horsepower, 418 pound-feet of torque. And if you equip it with the active valve exhaust like this vehicle has, you get an extra 6 horsepower, fully taking advantage or getting the max horsepower you can out of the GT side of things. Now, if you want more horsepower, you can go to the Dark Horse, which is going to be much more expensive, but you get 500 horsepower and the same amount of torque as this motor. Now, this motor is attached to the MT82 transmission, a 6-speed manual, but you can get it in a 10-speed automatic that Ford is so known for, and that may be a little bit more of a viable daily driver option if that is what you're looking for. So your options are MT82 or a 10-speed. And if you bump up to that dark horse, you not only get that 500 horsepower, you also get the Tremec 6-speed, which may be more sought after if you are going to be on the track. Now the other engine option for the Mustang is going to be in the lower trim levels, which is a 2.3 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that produces 315 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, which really is not too bad. That's going to be a much more economical version, and that is only going to come in that 10-speed manual transmission. Now, like I mentioned, this is the 5-liter V8, 480 horsepower, 486 in this current configuration, paired to the MT82. Then this does have the GT Performance package, and since this is a manual, it gets a 373 gear ratio that is a Torsen limited slip differential. Now, with all those things being considered, this is not going to be very economical if you are looking for that, but you're still wanting that nice look of that S650 Mustang. You're going to want to go to that 2.3 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. That's going to get you in the mid-20s, 4 miles per gallon. This rated combined is right around 17 miles per gallon. So you're never going to get that. You're going to be wanting to stomp on it, especially if you have the active valve exhaust. Sounds amazing, and you're just going to want to step on it, bang gears, and it's overall just going to be a fun car, but you're not going to get the economy out of this that you would that lower trim level with that 2.3 liter EcoBoost. One other thing to mention is since this vehicle is equipped with that GT Performance package, that gets you some odds and ends here and there, but in the engine bay, it gets you this nice metal black painted strut brace that goes from strut tower to strut tower, and that really increases the structural rigidity of the vehicle in tandem with that K-brace that is in that rear trunk area, all part of that GT Performance package. Hopping into the driver's seat of the Mustang, where you're going to be spending most of your time, we're looking at legroom of 44.5 inches. The Camaro has 43.9 inches of legroom, and the Challenger has 42. So the Mustang beats out those two other options as having the most legroom. Now for headroom, we're looking at 37.6 inches of headroom, and that is to the soft top in the convertible. But if you put the top down, you have infinite headroom. So really nothing to worry about there in that sector. If you are a taller person like me, you're going to really want to go for the Mustang. It has plenty of adjustment in the seat. We have a 6-way power adjustable seat here with nice bolsters that do have a little bit of leeway in the width. You're going to be held in nice and secure. Now, 6-way power adjustable with lumbar in the driver's side. Passenger side gets a 4-way power adjustable seat. Now, standard on the GT Premiums, you get a heated flat bottom steering wheel, heated and cooled seats in the front, as well as a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. And those things combined just make the driving of this vehicle so enjoyable. Now, I do have the driver's seat adjusted to where I would be sitting, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull the lever, push that forward, and then I'm gonna hop in the back, squeeze in here. Whoa, whoa, real nice deep buckets. I don't know if you can see my headroom, but there is no headroom back here. It says that it has 35.7 inches of headroom, but I am not seeing where that is a thing. So I'm gonna put the top down, twist this lever underneath the hood, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hold that button. That's gonna activate that top going down. And we will go ahead and give this rear seat another shot here. If we go ahead, pull this tab back here, get that seat forward. Now, if you straddle it, you can get that seat back to where it was. Now, you are fairly secure back here, and I do have to say, it's not too bad. Back of the seat's very upright. There's not a lot of legroom back here for someone my size. So it says that it has 29 inches of legroom. I guess my knees are 29 inches because without straddling this, you are gonna be pretty pressed for space. I can really squeeze, and I'm gonna be doing the airplane thing to the driver in the front. Opening up the trunk of this Mustang is gonna have a lot less space than the fastback because this is a convertible. So it is 10.3 cubic feet of storage in the trunk area, and if you go the fastback, you're gonna get 13.3 cubic feet of storage in the back of the Mustang. Now, in comparison to the Camaro, I couldn't find specific specs on the Challenger, and they also don't have any specs for a convertible since the Challenger does not come in a convertible. That is all aftermarket. Overall, fairly simple trunk space. One big thing for me is that it is a little bit narrow in this section, so getting bigger things in here can be troublesome. Like I try to put a Rubbermaid container in here. Don't know the size of the Rubbermaid container. I don't know that big by that big. Just something to carry things. I try to put it in here and it's too narrow and I cannot fit that in here. Now, to give a comparison, this is my camera bag. And going in, obviously at an angle is gonna be all right. Going in sideways is gonna be tough, kind of right there at the max that you could probably go. Now, I happen to actually have a tape measure with me today had it in the car, so I'm gonna use it today. And we're gonna measure this opening and see how large it actually is. So got my trusty Milwaukee 6-foot tape measure here. So from the opening here to where you can no longer put things in, we are looking at just 15 inches. So fairly narrow. And then width, while we're here, let's see, overall width is 42.25 inches wide. So 42.5 by 15, fairly slim or fairly narrow opening for the trunk area. So not only do we only have 10.3 cubic feet of storage, it's a lot narrower than I would like for the trunk space, and it's kind of hard to get some things in there. So keep that in mind when you are looking for your next car. Walking up to the car, you're gonna see we have this LED shining on the floor with the Pony on it, or the Mustang, shining really nicely. Opening that up, we have these illuminated door sills here that say Mustang, nice red glow to those. If it was a little bit darker, they're gonna glow nicely. All your accent lighting inside the door handles. Nice carbon fiber pattern here on the door panel. Nice soft touch everywhere, padding, some metallic plastic there. And then you have your driver seat memory here, 3 positions, lock, unlock, as well as your power mirrors. And then down below you have just a little bit of storage with quite a bit of space going all the way back. We have a speaker grill here, part of your 12 speakers for your Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. So tweeter up here, your mid down here. And moving on down here, you can see that we have that third pedal for the manual transmission. Moving over to take a look at the seats, we have this black onyx trimmed leather interior. Nice perforated leather going down the middle of the seat bottom and all the way up the middle of the seat back. Nice light stitching all the way around the seat, lots of it. Now these are perforated because this is a heated and cooled seat, as well as having a leather wrapped flat bottom steering wheel that is heated as well. Fairly small center console here. You can see that we have our latch on the side. Press that up. In front of that, we have 2 cup holders with a center section connecting the two, so you can store a phone, wallets, things of that sort. Moving forward, we have our gear shifter, our electronic e-brake. This can also double as a drift brake, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Up above that, we have our start and stop button, our Pony button, traction control off, hazard button, as well as a programmable button. This turns off rev match, and then our defrost max button there. To the side, we have a physical volume knob that'll turn off and on our system. 2 air vents up here, one for the driver, one for the passenger, and that brings us up to the infotainment system. So this is a 13.2-inch infotainment screen, all LCD, and that seamlessly connects to your 12.4-inch instrument cluster here. You can see that it's all digital, and then it's connected here with a gloss black, kind of just a similar material that is covering both screens. Moving over to the glove box, it is a fairly cheap feeling glove box. It is all hard plastic. Opening that up, there is no illumination, there is no hydraulics, just opens, closes, nothing too crazy. Not super deep, just enough for a manual and some other random assortment things. And then we have some soft touch material, nice stitching going across, as well as this Mustang logo across the passenger side dashboard. Nice textured plastic surrounding that Mustang logo, as well as more soft touch leather up here with that padding. And then obviously we have another tweeter there in the A-pillar. Taking a look at this flat bottom steering wheel, there is a lot of information that you can get from it. So on the left side, we have our controls for our cruise control here, these 2 buttons here, and then obviously our cruise control cross buttons here. And then we have our mode selector here on the right side of this cluster here. So we have our modes. So we have our different drive modes. We have slippery, custom, normal, sport, track, and last but not least, drag strip. So that's going to change your driving dynamics, suspension, steering, exhaust, things like that. Moving over to our infotainment screen, if we go ahead and press this Pony button down here on our auxiliary buttons, it's going to bring up our My Mustang app, which controls your track apps, auxiliary apps, custom mode, my color, cluster theme, and then also your exhaust mode here. So right now we have it in our quiet mode. If I go ahead and press this button over here, you're going to hear the valves in the exhaust open, and all the way to track mode, and then all the way back to quiet, and you can hear those valves in the exhaust actually change. So when you change your drive modes here on the steering wheel, that is also going to change some of your exhaust settings, so it may go from quiet over to track or sport or normal. Up in the top left corner, we have our track apps, which is one of the cool things that I will go ahead and show you guys. We have our acceleration timer, brake performance, lap timer, launch settings, as well as a shift indicator. And And the launch settings is used for the launch control that is equipped on this vehicle. So we have rev match, launch control. We actually have a line lock that is available in the drag strip mode, and then we also have that drift brake. Now that drift brake works in tandem with this e-brake, and it actually just locks up the rear wheels. If you're curious on what the settings do, press the information button and it'll give you a nice illustration of what it actually does. So it locks the rear wheels when you pull up on the parking brake, and it works pretty good. I tested it out in a parking lot, and it really does lock up those rear wheels. It only lasts for a little bit and then it turns off just for safety reasons. Launch control, I have not messed with too much. I'm not personally a fan of launching manual cars. I just don't want to risk hurting anything and me being responsible. Acceleration timer, brake performance, all super cool features to have, especially in this high performance vehicle. Auxiliary gauges, looking at all of your different settings. So accelerometer, air, fuel, engine oil pressure, change out the layout. Then you can go through the settings and change what is actually shown on this screen. So really cool features here on the Mustang, My Mustang app, and that is all controlled. Press that button down here and that brings up all of these settings here. With the GT Performance Package, you not only get these bigger wheels and tires, a really nice setup for the size of this vehicle, but you also get these nice, massive Brembo brake kit that is equipped on this vehicle. So nice 6-piston caliper in the front, 4-piston in the rear. Normally it's going to be 4-piston in the front, 1 piston in the rear. So massive upgrade, and that's going to go really well with that 486 horsepower. Now, as you can see, moving back on this quarter panel, we have this black 5.0 badge. In that middle, it is paint matched to match the paint color, and this is all part of the Night Pony package. So you get this nice black 5.0 in the front, nice black pony in the front, as well as that GT Performance black painted badge on the rear of the vehicle. The GT Performance package does get you some suspension upgrades, so a stiffer front spring, a stiffer anti-roll bar in the back, strut brace in the front, but this vehicle is also equipped with the MagneRide suspension, which is $1,750. So right off the bat, 0 to 60, I rated it around 5 seconds. I've seen online that people are getting a 4.3, and that's what they're putting down on paper. I personally could not get it anywhere near 4.3 seconds. I got anywhere from 4.8 to 5.1, and that's really just my driving skills, how hard I want to push the car. This isn't my car personally, so I also don't want to break it and beat the crap out of it. So with the 0 to 60 put aside, not looking at numbers, overall driving experience performance-wise is phenomenal. You know, the 6-speed manual feels good. You have your auto rev match, which makes you just sound like a degenerate when you're pulling up to a stop sign. So it's unfortunate that like this Tesla that's past me right there could wipe the floor with this Mustang, but it still sounds so good. That 5-liter just sings through the active exhaust. Right now I have it in normal driving, but I have it in the normal exhaust, not the quiet mode or the track exhaust mode. So right now it's about the normal exhaust noise, and it is a little bit loud, and it's nice to have that option of turning it to the quiet mode, especially when I pull up to my house at night, like 11 or 12 o'clock. It's nice to have that option so you're not waking up the neighbors or waking up your landlords or anything like that. So the active exhaust is a must in my opinion if you are going to be driving the Mustang. But overall driving experience performance-wise is great. I mean, listen to that thing. It's just, ooh, it gives me the chills. I've driven this thing for a week now, and every time I get on it, it's just, I giggle like a schoolgirl. But bang for your buck performance-wise, this vehicle does it all. I mean, the 6-speed manual just gives you that nice driving experience. The clutch pedal adds a different aspect into things, so you actually have to work for your gears. And then also just the motor sounds so good. Oh, that's the first thing I thought when I hopped into this car. I looked so forward to it. I was coming home from work and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to drive that Mustang. So I hopped in, turned it on. That cold start, oof, God, that cold start it just tickled my heart, that is for sure. I think if you're gonna buy a Mustang and you're not gonna buy it for like a commuter, you're just gonna buy it for a performance car or for just a fun car, the 6-speed manual is where it's at now. This is not the Tremec 6-speed that you get in the Dark Horse. This is a Getrag 6-speed manual. Now we are getting into the colder months here in Washington, so this car is going to be pretty impractical for the most part. We're just coming out on the tail end of fall. We're kind of seeing our winter months start showing their face, and so the manual rear-wheel drive, almost 500 horsepower, definitely not optimal for the Pacific Northwest, but that's besides the point. So one thing I noticed about quiet mode is that it's quiet just idling around 1500 RPM to 2000, But if you floor it in quiet mode, it seems like it bypasses those valves that direct the airflow through a muffler. It almost seems like it just totally switches, and it's actually not that much quieter at wide open throttle than it is compared to sport or track. But at lower speeds, the quiet mode is essential. I mean, if you live in a neighborhood that's super quiet at night, or if you live by people that are annoyed by loud noises, this active valve exhaust is going to be for you. So now we have it in normal mode. Give it some throttle. And now into track mode. First gear. I personally think that track mode sounds the best. As you can probably hear, it's real loud. It's kind of obnoxious, but you know, being the young person I am, loud exhaust is fun sometimes, and that active valve exhaust comes in handy because you don't have to deal with it all the time. You can turn it to quiet and you don't have to deal with it. Now, in terms of pricing, where does the Mustang GT Performance stack up against some of the competition? So like I mentioned, as we have equipped here, our vehicle is around $62,000 as according to the Monroney that came with our vehicle. Now, equipping it online on the Ford website, we're looking more around $63,230 with that active valve performance exhaust that was not included on the Monroney. Not sure why it was inaccurate like that, but it did not say that there was an extra charge for that exhaust, but it was equipped. Our Mustang was equipped with 3 different packages, which was the 401A package, the GT Performance package, as well as that active valve exhaust package. So with those 3 combined, it adds a little bit to the price, as well as the convertible adds price on top of the starting price of the coupe or the fastback. So overall, it's going to add quite a bit of money between all of those options. But where does it compare when we compare it to some of the other vehicles, like the other V8 muscle cars that are on the market, like the Camaro or the Challenger? So there's going to be a lot of information to cover right here, because there's a couple different things I want to mention about these 3 vehicles, how they compare and where the pricing is, because there is some intricacies to comparing these vehicles. So our Mustang is a convertible. You can get the Camaro in a convertible, but you cannot get the Challenger, the other 2-door muscle car, in a convertible. So how this is going to work is I'm going to go through some information. I got my trusty notebook here with all my information written down. So if I look down, that is why. So our Mustang is a $5,500 upgrade from the fastback to get the convertible. For the Camaro, it's another $6,000 to get the convertible. And for the Dodge Challenger, there is no convertible offered. So Dodge offers a third party called Drop Top Customs, and that is going to cost you $25,000 extra to be able to get a convertible Challenger. The Challenger, the RT Scat Pack, is $50,860, but the base is the SXT, which is a V6 rear-wheel drive. That's going to set you back just a skosh over $34,000. And then you can go all the way up to the Bad Daddy SRT Super Stock, which gets you over $105,000. Now, there are some special edition ones coming out as these Dodge V8s, Dodge muscle cars are going out into the sunset, riding off into the sunset. So there's going to be some special edition ones that are going to be quite a bit more expensive than $100,000. Now, for the Camaro, the one that mostly compares to our GT Premium convertible is the 2SS trim, and that's going to set you back $54,895. But the base trim, the 1LT, is going to be a coupe, $32,495. And then the top dog in the Camaro for the 2024 model year is going to be the ZL1, setting you back $92,385 when fully equipped. So when I'm talking about prices for the competitors like the Challenger RT Scat Pack as well as the Camaro 2SS trim level, those prices are reflecting the manual transmission pricing, as the automatic is going to be a couple $1,000s more. Now, I'm throwing around a lot of pricing and a lot of options and a lot of this or that. You can get this equipped with that. I know it can be confusing, but if you are going to be wanting to get into a V8 muscle car, American muscle car, you're gonna wanna go online and just kind of spec out your vehicle. There's a ton of different options, a ton of different packages you can choose from. And if you do want a convertible, the Challenger's not gonna be the one for you unless you wanna flip the coin and just spend the money. Overall, the Mustang GT Premium was a fun vehicle to have. Although in Pacific Northwest, it's becoming wintertime right now. So rear-wheel drive, almost 500 horsepower vehicle is not very ideal and can be very dangerous at times. I learned the hard way. Having the manual, having the rear-wheel drive, as well as the 485 horsepower, it's a ton of fun, it's a ton of responsibility, but if you can tame that beast, it is going to be a blast to drive. So tell me what you guys think down below. What V8 American muscle car would you choose, especially when talking about manual transmissions? Tell me which one you would choose. We have the Mustang, the Camaro, and the Challenger as two-door muscle cars. I personally think I'm gonna stick with the Mustang. I think it's the best looking V8 muscle car right now. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of the Camaro redesign for the 2024 model year, so until they can figure that out, I'm gonna stick with my Mustang. And that is gonna do it for this review. My name is Nick with Auto Buyer's Guide, and until my next review, I will see you guys then.